I never thought I'd hear my daughter scream like that again. The kind of scream that cuts straight through your chest and leaves panic echoing in its wake. "Dad, please come home." "Now," she cried. "It's Grandpa, something's wrong." For a split second, everything inside me froze. The phone trembled in my hand as her words replayed, sharper each time. I'd only stepped out for an hour, just a quick run to the hardware store. My little girl, 2-year-old Lily, had been napping on the couch, watched over by my father. He adored her more than anything in the world. He used to say she was the reason he still woke up smiling every morning. I drove home like a man possessed, every red light feeling like an enemy in my way. My thoughts spun into a storm of guilt and fear. How could everything have gone so wrong in just 60 minutes? When I pulled into the driveway, the front door stood wide open. My daughter was in the living room, shaking, her face pale and wet with tears. "Dad," she whispered, pointing toward the floor. And there he was, my father, collapsed beside Lily's crib, one hand resting near her blanket. His eyes were open but unfocused, his chest barely rising. "Dad," I yelled, falling to my knees. The room tilted around me. Lily's soft cry came from the crib, fragile and haunting. In that moment, I didn't know who needed me more, the man who'd raised me or the child I'd sworn to protect. The ambulance arrived within minutes. Though time itself seemed to stop, the paramedics moved fast, their voices clipped and urgent. I stood frozen, clutching Lily tightly against my chest while my daughter sobbed into her hands. "He's breathing, but barely," one of them said. "Possible cardiac arrest." Those words tore something out of me. My father, the strongest man I'd ever known, was now fragile and still. He was the kind of man who built houses with his bare hands, weathered storms without complaint, and never once asked for help. But now, in that hospital bed, he looked small. We waited for hours under fluorescent lights and quiet whispers. When the doctor finally came out, his expression gave nothing away. "Your father suffered a severe heart attack," he said gently. "He's stable for now, but there's something you should know." My chest tightened. The doctor hesitated. "It seems he's been under heavy stress. Emotional, not just physical. Did something happen recently?" I had no answer. My mind went blank, replaying moments I'd brushed off. The nights he sat quietly on the porch, staring at nothing. The way he'd asked me last week if I thought Lily would remember him if he ever went away. I'd laughed it off, thinking he was just being sentimental. I never thought to ask why. When we were finally allowed into his room, he looked peaceful, eyes closed, a faint smile resting on his lips. I took his hand, rough, warm, and familiar, the same hand that had guided me through every stage of my life. "Dad," I whispered, voice breaking, "you scared us." His eyes fluttered open. He glanced at Lily in my arms and murmured weakly, "She's perfect, just like your mom." Then his grip tightened slightly around my fingers. "Promise me, son," he said softly. "Don't waste time. It runs out faster than you think." He passed away 2 days later. Quietly, peacefully, as if he'd waited just long enough to make sure we were okay before letting go. The house feels emptier now. His chair by the window sits untouched. His coffee mug still rests on the table, a fine layer of dust beginning to gather. Sometimes Lily toddles through the living room, points at that chair, and babbles softly. Maybe she still feels him there. After the funeral, I found a small notebook tucked inside his drawer. It wasn't filled with lists or numbers, but letters written to me, to Lily, to our family. In one, he'd written, "If you're reading this, it means my time came sooner than I expected. Don't let guilt live where love should. Life doesn't wait for apologies." Those words hit harder than anything I'd ever read. I'd been too busy with work, deadlines, planned for later. I always assumed there'd be more time. Time to talk. Time to thank him. Time to sit beside him and listen to the same old stories again. But time ran out. Now every morning, I carry Lily to that same window seat where he used to sit and let the sunlight pour over us. I tell her stories about the man who built this home, who once held her in his arms and whispered, "You're my second chance at life." She won't remember him the way I do, but maybe, just maybe, she'll grow up feeling the warmth he left behind. Because some love doesn't disappear. It simply changes shape.